Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Are we on? Oh, we're on.
I got the live in the corner. So
You got the live. All right,
yeah.
perfect. Well, this is the Business Life and Brotherhood podcast, and even though it's on video, and today we are with Samantha Jo, and Samantha, for those listening, watching at home who maybe haven't met you yet, why don't you give us 45 seconds, your best synopsis of who you are, where you went to school, what chapter, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, my name is Samantha Jo. I am a University of British Columbia alumna. Let's get technical here. So, I graduated in 2011 with my bachelor's in marketing. Currently, I volunteer with the region as the chapter advisor for Omega Gamma up at UBC, right where I was part of the founding membership group. So that was a fun ride. Yeah, and so right now I'm still living in Vancouver, working in digital marketing and continuing my role as a chapter advisor. Good, no good. Oh, you went
No,
on mute.
you're perfect.
Okay.
I was on mute. So sorry.
Yeah, no
No, that's perfect. That's awesome. And so UBC, you're chapter advisor up there. How long have you been in that role?
I think about 6 years now. Last year, I did also take over from Rachel Long as the section director for Western Canada. With some realignment changes in the region, I have moved back to my chapter advisor role. So right now, the chapters that were under my purview before, being Chi Omega SFU and Omega Gamma, are now part of Brianna Anderson, or I guess, yeah, that's her married name, right? Brianna.
Yeah,
Bree section.
Awesome. That's incredible. So it's so funny because the people that are involved are the ones that do everything. I mean, it really is. It really is. No, you're all in or you're not. I mean, and that's kind of I've always found to be an interesting thing with chapter and just volunteer work in general. And so,
yeah, I think when you talk about kind of any role you're in, whether it's professional or personal, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. So this kind of all or nothing approach, you want to be the one to put it out there on the line to get it done, to succeed, right? So yeah. I think that's why you see that typically, especially in a lot of volunteer roles in the region.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. So that's so cool that you're doing so much. One of the things that one of the things I wanted to talk about was you went to school for marketing.
Yeah,
and now you're in marketing.
Yes, I am.
So that a lot of people don't actually get to work in the field that they study, or something changes. Did you, with the role that you have now, did it go through? Did you do a lot of different things to get into your role, or was it pretty seamless right out of college, or what does your work history kind of look like to bring you where you are today?
Yeah, I guess I was lucky, and I'm probably in a rapidly dwindling percentage when I go to school for a program and then I actually get a job in that program and then I get to continue to stay in that field. So this is my my third workplace. So I've been working marketing roles for, I guess, just over 7 years now. I've worked in telecom, I've worked for holdings companies, and now I'm here at a company called Sengled. So we do smart home lighting globally. So I think part of it, though, part of being able to stick in a field, especially like marketing, is constantly having to improve your skills or develop new ones, learn, network, get out there, grow. Business changes fast regardless. Like I'm sure you as a realtor, you see every single up and down in the market. You've probably got your clients on the phone being like, what do I do now? Kind of thing, right? So it's an adaptation game, I think, no matter in what field you're in.
Yeah. I mean, when business cycles, market cycles, when you're in the trenches, boots on the ground, I think that especially when you work in such a dynamic field where you're planning ahead, but you're acting immediately, and things change and they're so fluid. I mean, to the day, the week, what economic conditions that you have to be aware of.
Yeah.
That could change something in your industry. Yeah, it's minute. So crazy. Um, so with your role now, you talked about networking and marketing. Did you do any internships as a marketing student that led to any of these roles, or how did you find these positions?
The first couple were from networking. So actually, from the move from my first to my second role, when I was out of college, a few years, they were actually related companies. So I was kind of filling in a gap
Mm,
that the second workplace had been looking for. Um, Regarding how I got my first role, there was definitely a lot of networking leverage, not only connections that I've made at school with peers or other people, but also family, people that are in your circle. Um, you can't devalue, I think, any connection, especially when you're just trying to break in,
yeah.
especially in a competitive field. I'm sure there are lots of people out there with similar situations. I was also pretty lucky that I got to work for my faculty in my last year in marketing. So I was able to get a little bit of like what a real office experience was like. So I actually did have to wear, dress pants, show up on time. Right now, I'm wearing jeans and this oversized cardigan, this nice little blanket. So I think part of the thing is that every job is different, every environment is different, but you need to expose yourself to as many environments as possible to get
Yeah.
those not only to get that learning experience, but to get those kind of connections as well.
Yeah. I think that's always super interesting. Just in high school, I remember applying for jobs and it was like, oh, you just kind of look around and like, oh, that I could work there, I could work there, and you apply. But after that, the next level is when you get into a field, into an industry, and you make industry friends, right? And you make
Yeah,
people who are also in the same industry that might work for a different company, but they say, hey, come over here. Uh,
yeah,
I'm always interested to see how that works because I don't know that everybody has, a real understanding of hey, your network is your net worth, right?
yeah,
Your ability to connect with people is
yeah.
is
That's a good way to put it for sure. I think networking now has changed drastically even from when we were in school. Let's not date ourselves here. I did get asked if PowerPoint was a thing while I was at school, but that's a story for maybe later in the cast. But I was actually recently at an alumni panel with the chapter, and these are I don't want to call them kids. They're young adults now, right? And they're getting out there and being like, hey, go take a stroll on LinkedIn and see who you might know or who your connections know. And I was like, that never would have occurred to me when I was in school.
yeah.
It just
Like,
wasn't. It just wasn't really a thing you did.
yeah, I don't get. I'm still trying to figure out LinkedIn. People have really good things to say about it. I okay.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't get it, but I seem to be connected to a lot of people, and I don't know why,
Or how?
or who they are. I just
Oh.
like who? Wait, who is that?
Well,
So
I think it's kind of like the Facebook thing where you feel the need to have a certain
yeah,
amount of connections, but it's not necessarily the quantity, it's the quality.
no, and it's
And
definitely about taking those relationships
yeah,
offline and person to person, voice to
yeah,
voice. So tell me a little bit about you're in digital marketing.
yeah.
That is such a hot buzzword. It is. I mean, there's
No,
there's
it's
so
true.
many
It's
people
true.
out there. There's so many people out there that are like gurus or they're
Yeah,
Instagram coaches
yeah.
or they're the digital marketing space. So is there a way that you can either like sum up what you actually do or kind of the industry as a whole? Because I mean, I live in Facebook Manager a lot and Business
Yeah.
Manager a lot. That's a lot of what I do. Um, but I don't know that everybody kind of understands what it means to be a digital marketer.
Yeah, I think there's so much that can be tied into there. Um, it's kind of become a catch-all term now, and you see, there's social specialists, content specialists, or then you get your generalists, you get your managers, you get your directors, and everything's in digital. For me, the big lure about it though is being able to get insights from data. You know, again, back when we were in school, let me go get my cane and whatever. But, you know, Google Analytics was just starting to come to the forefront. I had to learn everything on the fly or on my own. So being able to use, you know, social measuring tools, listening tools, analytics, research, on-site data collection, passive data, like there's so many things that you can do inside digital marketing that even if you didn't think about it, you're probably going to end up there. Just the way that the general climate of business is going. To have a digital strategy means that you have to digitize your business strategy. It's not about being like, oh, let's have a Facebook page. Let's go on Instagram, you know, let's claim our business on Google. It's like, no, how is digital properties going to accelerate your business goals?
Right.
Right. So for a lot of what I do right now currently is based in the e-commerce space. So Amazon, Shopify, other working with other big box retailers on their digital platforms as well, and their merchandise assortment.
Yeah.
That they carry of our product.
Is that in both like brand awareness type campaigns, or is it product mostly, engagement and sales, or is it all those things, or?
It could be any of those things. I mean, specifically, I'm probably somewhere at both the top and bottom, just the way that my role has worked out. Like, for example, today I had a phone conference with our influencer marketing agency to talk about the people that we are going to send our product to on Instagram, to talk about it, show off new features. I read 4 reports from Amazon about, they conducted some market research for us. I sat in on a meeting to talk about designs for our new homepage. I answered a few customer service emails, and I had an hour-long conference with a new addition to our team to onboard her into what we were doing. So the thing is, it could change any day. Like, I think that probably gave you a pretty good idea of just how broad the role is. And especially in digital marketing, I think you can do with it what you want simply because it's so vast.
Yeah, and there's so many niches, and there's so many different product lines, and there's so many people. Like, your clientele is gonna, require of you certain and different things. It's gonna be different if you were doing like a campaign for a local mayor versus a campaign for a barbershop versus a campaign for a supplement company.
Yeah.
There's tons of.
And even then, like, let's use your supplement company example. Their Amazon customers are probably slightly different from their .com customers. They have their own communities to worry about, loyalty, engagement. You can get to a point where it becomes overwhelming. There's, what's that word? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's just too much. And I think that limit is kind of a lot closer than some people think, simply because when they're looking for one question, suddenly they've opened up the Grand Canyon of data, essentially. Like, it's like, look how many things I can find out. But now what do I do? But now what do I do with them? So you almost become too focused in some ways, and you can't see anything but data. But no, there's real people behind that data too. So what do you do? How do you serve them is really the more appropriate question.
Right. What relevant question are you trying to answer that's actually helpful versus just like, oh, here's a bunch of information. Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome. I think that was a really good explanation. And I love so much that you had a meeting about Instagram influencers, because that shit is real. I mean, excuse me,
that shit is real.
It's real. I mean, it's a thing that people are making money from. It's like this whole conversation takes me back, because you remember when it was like, oh, you put on your resume like, I'm a social media expert. It's like, what does that mean? You knew how to use Twitter, like,
not to hide, or not to show your party pictures on your profile when you're getting job screen. Like, no, it's so much more now.
Yeah, and then YouTube, people actually make real money on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, the money people can make on YouTube.
Yeah, and now Instagram influencers is a real and true, like, hard and fast, like, that's you can make real money if
Oh
you
yeah.
can capture enough people's attention.
And that's the thing too, is that as someone who is on the client side of this, you're only as good as the information you get through your agency or through the influencers themselves.
Right.
You can say, oh, we had a 5% engagement rate, but you don't know how many people actually saw that post. At worst, it's 5% of their entire base, but developers are always finding new ways to keep people on their screens. So for example, Instagram, they let you know when they've reached the end of the page of your new stuff. But hey, look at all this other cool related stuff that's out there as well, right? So you never know. There's just so many hidey holes.
It's really interesting. Like I'm probably too interested in it, like for the well-being of, like, people go on, like, they go on binges and they watch stuff on Hulu and Netflix, and I go on binges like learning about Tag Manager and Pixel and stuff that I probably should hire out. So
it's good to know, so that way you can speak the same language. And I think that's one of the other things too, is that when you're talking to, like, see, when I said engagement rate earlier, you just laughed because it's like, whatever, it's just another stat. But when you talk to people in the same language, whether it's, does this tag fire only on certain conditions, and what button classes should this go on, and blah, 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 it just makes it so much easier for the group at large or whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I probably just sounded like I just spurted off like half an hour of gibberish. But I swear, these are real terms, people.
It's important, and you should know it, especially if like there's a bunch of people that own their own businesses or are self-employed and haven't yet recognized the importance of at least having some surface level knowledge of what it's going to mean for their business if they just know a little bit more. But yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I don't know, I didn't study it. I'm doing everything on my own, and I hired a company to do some campaign and lead generation for me, and then I did better than they did, so then I fired them. So I was like, well, I don't know why I would need you.
I think that's, speaking as someone who also independently works with other brands too, I think a big part of it is taking the time to understand someone's business. So I work with a swimmer company, and every week it seems like I'm learning something new about their business because I'm in their Instagram, I'm in their social analytics, and it's like, oh, have you explored this idea or this idea? And it's just being able to get fresh but also qualified eyes on things.
Yeah. That's awesome. So with your role now, you talked about a couple of big companies and you said that your firm, you said something about home smart. Well, tell me again what that was.
Smart lighting.
Okay.
So
how do those two relate to each other, or are you working with more than one are those clients of your companies, or does that make sense?
So right now what I do is I am the digital marketing manager for a smart lighting company in Vancouver. On the side, I also independently help brands who are on Shopify. So I do work with a lot of e-commerce clients, some local boutiques, national.
So you have an agency, basically, kind of your own agency.
Sure. Well, I work with an agency.
Okay, got it. Got it.
That's awesome. That's the thing too, is that I wouldn't have learned some of the stuff I did if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
So it's good to keep my skill sharp. I've done contract content writing in the past. Whatever you can do to keep yourself up to date is only going to be to your benefit.
Yeah.
The fact that I don't have to do it for free is a plus.
Yeah, 100%. And you get to connect with those companies that hire you and meet people that they, network through those companies. Networking is such a dirty word, but we talk about it all the time.
I know, it's just another buzzword.
Yeah, and then people frown upon it too, like, oh, networking. I don't want to do that. Well, that's awesome. So, post college.
Yeah.
did you find that landing these jobs was fairly simple? Were there any? Did you have any big gaps, or like what motivated you're on your third company, you said
Yeah.
now? What motivated those moves? Was it just no longer the right fit, or more attractive offers, or because I want to kind of tell a story. You know, some people are
Yeah.
just I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna get this job, and that's it, and that's
Yeah.
pretty rare.
I think part of the timing of my roles is that digital marketing kind of started, ugh, again, buzzword, but digital became increasingly more relevant to the field in general and just business in general. Um, and I was looking for roles that would help me develop in that particular niche. Like it wasn't like I didn't enjoy the jobs I was at before,
Mhm.
but I found that my skills were better put to use in things like ads analysis, reporting, analytics, as opposed to securing, magazine placements or working on in-store POP collateral, that kind of stuff. It was just where I felt more comfortable in that I could not only make a larger contribution, but also improve my skills at the most efficient pace.
Yeah, that's awesome. And with the company that you're with now, plus your side, working
Side
on the
hustle?
side, your side
Yeah.
hustle, yeah. How many hours are you working like weekly?
Oh, it honestly it varies. I fully expect the next 3 months. Q4 always big on the consumer front to ramp up, but I try and keep it pretty balanced. I'm pretty lucky here too that I do get the chance to balance out hours if I need to. So it's probably not more than 50.
It's probably more than 50.
Yeah, probably.
That's awesome. And did I s no, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You talk to everybody who's doing cool stuff, and it's not like it's work. It's
Oh,
work,
for sure.
but you have a passion for it. That's evident. So it's not like you're just going in to punch a clock and dragging your knuckles and sitting at a
Oh,
desk and like waiting for the clock,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's definitely a situation of my own making. It's a situation that I enjoy, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
And then do you get to break loose for any big chunks of time? Any do I remember seeing something that you were thinking about traveling soon?
Oh, yeah, I'm headed off to Asia in 2 weeks thereabouts. So yeah, I do have a pretty good vacation time too. Yeah, I think it's important for me personally that I take the time out to selectively disconnect. I don't think I'm ever going to be a person that could, go live in the jungles of Borneo and go off the grid for 3 months. But just taking some time for myself is definitely important. This one was kind of a panic vacation. I was like, if I don't take a vacation in the next month, I won't get one until next year. I
Yeah.
am going to take a vacation. Because that's the thing too, is that as much as I value my professional development, I also value not sucking at life and not experiencing anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, travel's a big deal, and
yeah.
it's super accessible. I mean, I can't believe how easy it is now to get someplace and reasonable. I mean, it's not, a lot of people, different generation would work their whole life and then go
Yeah.
travel, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
why are you going to wait till you're 60, 70 and broken to go someplace? Like, just figure out how you can go for a couple of weeks and make it happen. It's not.
Yeah. Why wait for retirement? And
Yeah.
I
I
think
think I think cost had a lot to do with it too. It is
yeah.
pretty inexpensive now. But that's fantastic. That's awesome. How do you get to break loose for like a week or two or three, or how many times a year do you think you get to go do stuff like that?
This one's a 2 week trip. So where I'm at right now, it's very accommodating. It's, if you can get your work done, we'll figure something out. That
Yeah.
being said, I think that plays into not abusing it because you want to be a good teammate. And also, I'm not just going to blow half my year's salary just so I can go travel for
Yeah.
whatever, right? Because it can get expensive, especially if you're going to live in the jungles of Borneo for 3 months. Kind of need to
Which
bring some supplies, which is not happening.
well, when it does, you should document it for a YouTube,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it would pay for itself. There was a gal who came over. She came to Seattle from China,
Yeah.
and she was connected with a teammate of mine,
Okay.
and they went out, and I think she was here for 3 4 days, and they
Yeah.
filmed everything, and she was in industry back in China. So when she got home, they edited it down to like a 45-minute segment, and
Hmm.
then she sold that segment to some company, some media company about like, oh, here we're in Seattle,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. And she paid for both of their trip, or like her and her husband's trip, plus just
Yeah.
boom. Ah,
Was that her job per se, or
no,
was that just a
nope.
project that she picked up?
Nope, she's connected in media, so people. I don't know if she was like a news, or she does something.
Okay.
So she had, or kids shows. I can't remember what she does, but she does something. But she doesn't really make any money doing that. But people recognize her face. So when
Oh,
she
okay.
when she, when she went back, she put this thing together and
Yeah.
sold it for buku bucks, I guess. And so she's figured out that that works, and so she gets to travel, and she puts it on tape, and then somebody buys it from her.
Yeah, video trends are honestly the one of the things that baffle me the most. I read articles like, "Oh, the newest thing is live streaming people's day-to-day stuff." I think this was a couple of years ago. So you'd be getting people like just, quietly eating noodles, or,
Yeah.
what their experience is like on the subway. And that brought people in.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's attention. I mean, like that's the um well, we'll get into it, but one of the guys I listen to, he's that's it. It's just attention.
Yeah.
Attention is everything.
It requires a certain amount of confidence. Like, I'm pretty sure no one would want to watch me eating a bowl of soup.
You'd be
It's
surprised.
pretty messy, man.
There's a whole thing about that. Messy and loud eating soup is big business, and I can't remember which country or nationality like brought it.
What?
It's a thing. It's a big
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I
I'm
really
sure.
couldn't be
I'm
surprised.
I'm sure I heard about it on NPR too. Like I'm sure like
Like, it was reputable. It wasn't like The Onion or anything.
no, it was like in NPR because
Yeah,
I'm nerding out there.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Okay, so I have kind of five canned questions that I ask everybody,
Okay.
um, and run with it,
Yeah.
whatever the spectrum is. But my first one is is really about because this is the business, life, and brotherhood, right?
Ah,
So
yes. Make
so
sure
we
we touch on all three.
so we hit
Yeah.
a lot of brotherhood up front, but the business and life thing, I think, is where people are going to get the most
All right.
meat and potatoes out of it. So um, you've in your work history, you've connected with some pretty big firms, and run some campaigns, and
Yeah.
done some stuff that you probably didn't necessarily imagine you would be doing when you were in college. Um, if you could go back in time at some seminal moment, whether that was college, high
Yeah.
school, middle school, and give yourself two tangible, actionable pieces of advice that would help you, or would have had helped you accelerate your career or accelerate your life further, so
Yeah.
that you could be winning faster more.
Yeah.
It's a good sentence.
Hashtag winning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, what would that be? What would those two tangible, actionable pieces of advice be?
I think for sure the first one would be don't be a chicken. Uh,
Don't be a chicken.
don't be a chicken. Just get on out there. Like, I think for a long time, rejection is always difficult to deal with. I
Yeah.
think, and that doesn't, I don't think anyone ever really grows out of it. You just learn how to deal with it differently,
Mhm.
but it's not something to be scared of. So, go out there, college Sam, and, take that extra class, or go out there and, go meet people at this thing tonight when you wouldn't have normally gone, that kind of thing. Doesn't have to necessarily be an everyday decision, but if I could have been less of a chicken, maybe gradually become less of a chicken, maybe that's fine.
Because you want assurances, right? And it's so
Yeah.
hard when there's questions. I saw this. They do like they do memes in my building on the company, like the screen in the mailroom or whatever.
Wow, you've got a very with it strata crew.
Yeah, and so It's like this velociraptor, like in a thinking pose, and it said something about like, if you fail and then you succeed, which one did you do?
Ah,
And I was like, that's almost close. That's pretty good. Like I was like, oh,
Velociraptor. I think that's what it's called.
huh?
Velociraptor.
Oh, see, now you got it. Yeah, that's
I
it.
think that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah. My second rule of advice is not be more up to date on memes. Don't worry, I'll come up with another one.
That's so funny.
Shit.
That's really good.
I've obviously spent too much time on the internet, and I don't regret that. Just because I think if I didn't spend so much time on the internet, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Right. Yeah,
Because I wouldn't have that like deep seated. Oh, this is where I'm comfortable, but this is where I also want to do things.
yeah, 100%. That's so funny. I did not make that connection at all. That was really good. What would be your, aside from
Don't be a chicken.
knowing what your memes are, what's your second tangible piece?
No, the first one was don't be a chicken. The second
first one was don't be a chicken.
And then I said the second one is not know your memes, even though that's probably, maybe number 6 or 7.
Perfect.
Perfect. But I would say, just to go back a little further, maybe in high school would just be take it easy a bit, I think. Definitely, I think the pressure of, going to a good school, participating in extracurriculars. I worked part-time. I was in probably too much activities. Like there were days at school where I would go to school at like 7 a.m. and leave at 10 p.m. And I'm like, this is when you're 16. Like this is beyond, like it's just, high school is just a construct to make people do more, essentially, when it's probably not in their best interest.
Yeah.
So knowing yourself, I think, is the takeaway here. Like take the time to get to know yourself and be like, no, I didn't need to go to school for 15 hours. I don't work for 15 hours a day. Why would I do that in high school? Because I was dumb. That's why. But
and they make you think that if you do all those things that there's some truly net benefit for it, and a lot of times it's just adult, it's babysitting in some regard. So you're keeping your hands-on learning in the digital marketing space, and we kind of joked about the real truth of all the gurus and all that stuff. But one of the things I like to ask is, just because people get continuing education and business education in different ways, but are there any like business books or podcasts or people that you are actually consuming their content that you take advice from, that you're like, oh, they're actually really they're queued up, they're teed up?
I do listen to the Ideas at Work podcast by HBR. That one's, even if it's not something that I can find that's directly actionable, it's good to get a view of business outside of your business. So whatever that may be. So maybe they're having a segment on, pay equality between genders or whatever it is. But the idea that it's not simply just a recap of what's happening, but what people are actually doing is valuable. Recently, I also read Grit by, I think it's Angela Duckworth.
Yep.
Duckworth. Yeah. Good read. Sometimes it's not necessarily about finding business specific books, but things that you're interested in, you're always going to get a better, I think, takeaway than reading a business book for the sake of saying, oh, I read this book about marketing, or I read this book about psychological theory, or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough too, because there are so many different books that aren't really technical business books, like the E-Myth. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's a really good, tangible book for business owners, small business owners, and that sort of stuff. But it wouldn't be like the 22 immutable laws of marketing. I think that's like a
maybe
hard and fast, or advertising. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say that expanding your knowledge is through reading is bad, because of course books are extremely valuable. Yeah, stay in school, read books. But I think also, depending on the field, you want to make sure you're reading current, and it's things that are directly, again, not directly applicable, but directly relatable.
Yeah.
Because you might not use it for another 5 years. Maybe you're not at that point in your career, or maybe you're looking to pivot to something else first. There's always other priorities out there.
Yeah.
But I would say being current is a big motivation of trying to learn on the fly.
Yeah, because you can pick up any of those old books and they're like 30 years old, and you're like, wait, none of this is relevant anymore. Why is this the standby?
There's a good HBR article a while ago, and it was about how the basic principles of strategy haven't changed. And I think they use 40 years as their term. But they're right. Yeah. There are only so many ways to succeed in business. Grow your revenues, cut your costs, strategic analysis, whatever it means to you, right? But there are so many ways to go about that now.
Right.
It's probably more in someone's interest to be current.
Yeah, that's awesome. So outside of work.
Yes. I promise I do have out of work.
Outside of work, if somebody was to, where are you living now?
I live in the burbs of Vancouver, so I live in a place called New West.
New West, because the old West was garbage.
Yes.
Is it as nice as the new Surrey?
I'd like to think it's nicer than the new Surrey, if the 33-story building across from mine has something to say about it. But
I just love that they were like, oh, the new Surrey, like we're gonna do some stuff in Surrey, and we're gonna brand it as the new Surrey. Like that's good.
Their library looks real nice, so
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So if somebody was up in your area and it was like you not working hours, where would they most likely find you or run into you, or have the chance to see you out in the wild, out in public?
Out in the wild. Oh, probably in a coffee shop. There's too much coffee, I feel, that I want to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So usually I'll just hang out somewhere there's a couple of cute ones down by my place, but I'll probably go into like Main Street, just look as hipster as my glasses do, and
just take it all in.
Just take it all in. Yeah, sometimes I'll, venture out down to the seawall, get my walk on.
Nice.
No, you see all kinds of, the people with the skis, the roller skis.
Really?
Yeah, so like there's Nordic walkers, there's bikes, there's rollerblades, there's skateboarders, but no, I'm just taking a nice sedate walk.
That's so funny. I don't think I've ever seen the Nordic roller skis.
Yeah,
in Seattle.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that either. I did see a dog with its ears dyed, but that was the weirdest thing I've seen in Seattle.
I'm sure it was the dog's choice too.
Yeah.
Nice. That's so funny.
Hey man, I was on the track of thinking of things that are weird, and
that wins. That's
all I got.
So one of the questions I always like to ask folks is, could we live a highlight reel, right, on our social a lot of the times, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's so funny the hashtag winning is like, but like the people that are actually doing awesome things and they seem to be killing it, whether it's in business and play, right? Because I think both of that's super important. What do you think sets apart the people that go out, they get things going, they get things done, they say they're going to do something and then they do it, versus those that talk about it but never get started?
Yeah. Oh, there's another good quote about this. Well, not really about this per se, but it's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess if you wanted to kind of stretch that definition a bit, you have to be able to walk the walk to succeed, I think. Otherwise, you're just kind of living this, oh, I have all of this data about me. Look at my, 1 million followers and my $1 million or whatever. But If that's how you get your fulfillment, then I guess that's your choice, but that's not mine.
Yeah, I'm really starting to think that there really is more value in trying something and quitting, or trying something and having it fail, as long as you can pick a piece of, okay, well, what worked, what didn't, what can I do next?
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of truth in it kind of like you mentioned, Angela Duckworth, that grit, like the ability to have the wherewithal and tenacity to stick something through and keep
Yeah.
going and grinding. Um, yeah, there's something there too, but
Yeah, there's a certain amount of resiliency, I think,
yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
demanded these days. Whether that means you keep trying to learn a certain task, or you put yourself out there and go out of your comfort zone. You just have to be ready that, you might stumble, but
Yeah, but what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, you may as well just do more of it faster to get to the thing that you actually want to have happen. That's kind of
I feel like I didn't really answer your question now that I think about it.
well, here's my takeaway, because you said hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. That was kind of the quote, right? So
Yeah,
that's that grit, that tenacity, that keep
Yeah.
going. And then we just kind of talked about failing faster.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, is that whenever you're looking at someone else's life, you're only looking at what they want you to see.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Right? Wow.
100%. And that's a good reason to ask the question, is like, what does it actually take?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a fun one. This is one of my I like this question. Are there any apps or technology or things new and different that you are all about and using to make your life better?
Oh man. I'm all about the Slack, if you ask my coworkers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I've been here about 19 months. I have accumulated probably 20,000 messages at this point on Slack. So don't track your Slack stats. It will definitely screw you up. It'll be like, what the heck? I don't think I talk that much. Like, no, I have the highest message count. That sounds like a brag, but it's not. It's really just kind of sad. But like, I'm beating people that have been here for like 2.5 years. I think that it comes down to I work with a pretty collaborative team. There's a digital team up here. There's marketing in Seattle. There's people spread out across the states. So being able to keep in contact with people is only to your benefit. I just happen to do that through Slack. So there you go. Yeah, Slack definitely keeps me on track. I'm trying to think, because I just got the iPhone 8, so it tells me how long I've spent on my phone, which is kind of frightening.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on Instagram. Shoot. But you know what? I think that also, besides the fact that I do work with Instagram influencers,
I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of part of your job.
But it is also a good way to be able to see what's trending, just because what's going to be more efficient, you going down a rabbit hole or letting an AI figure it out for you?
Yeah. I was looking, so did they ditch the top 9? Because I was like I was doing something for in Ballard or in Seattle or something here, and it was just like a mess. And I was like, wait a minute, where did the top 9 go? It used to just tell me what was the most,
active thing. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that, well, I guess it depends how much activity that location or hashtag is getting, because you'll have like the top post, and then you'll have like most recent.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. That's awesome. I love that. That's so funny. Like, oh, it's Slack and Instagram. A lot of people don't know what Slack is, I guess, but or haven't heard of it. It's just like a productivity suite, right?
Yeah. So they actually just bought. They've been buying a few other productivity apps, like from Atlassian in Australia. They just acquired one, but the name is slipping my mind right now. But the heart of it is trying to facilitate better workplace communication. So, cut down on email as well. It's like a professional MSN messenger.
Yeah, they work really good if you can keep the hard thing, I think, for a lot of small, startups and companies, and uh, even just like I was talking to my brother, and I remember I hit him up on Messenger,
Yeah.
and then he texted me later, and then there was like an Instagram note from him,
Oh, there's
DM
so
or
many
whatever,
ways to keep
and I was
track
like,
of people.
where the hell, like, how did this conversation even?
Yeah, I don't know, but I will say that you didn't grow up in the 2000s if you weren't carrying one conversation on the phone and another conversation on AIM or AIM. Do you guys call it AIM or AIM?
I don't know either
The
one.
AOL Instant Messenger or MSN Messenger with the same person. Like we
Yeah,
just got used to it being part of that generation that grew up with having so many ways to contact people. But now
yeah,
I look at my phone and it's like messages, FaceTime, Skype, WhatsApp, WeChat, Twitter, Facebook, Messenger. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's crazy, but I think that companies that choose, if you're going to do it, if you're a company,
yeah.
you have to strongly suggest or mandate that you use one channel.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's out there trying to grab. I mean, Facebook for workplace has, Facebook
Yeah.
for work or whatever. They have it. They want to, take over the world from Slack. Slack has it. There's, I think Evernote has Teams. People are, you
Yeah.
can do it in Evernote, and then obviously Google Drive, and
Yeah. Hangouts.
yeah,
Yeah. We do use Google Drive too, but Slack is our
yeah,
team app of choice.
yeah. That's awesome.
I mean,
Uh,
sometimes you just want to send someone a GIF of a bunch of tires on fire or a Seinfeld reference or whatever. You just
right.
gotta keep it light.
That's awesome. Um, is there anything that you're so generous and to come on, and I think we had some back and forth trying to get this thing set up, and
Yeah.
I always like going in blind because it just the conversation just goes where it
Yeah,
goes, and it's
yeah.
fun. Was there anything though that you expected or had thought or wanted to bring up or talk about or made sure we covered?
Well, first, thanks for inviting me to come chat. I'll be honest, this is pretty out of my wheelhouse. So you definitely put up with a lot of my questions. Like, do I have to prepare anything? What do I have to talk about? Are you sure you want me to do this? But no,
No, it's
I think
awesome.
yeah, no, I think it ended up good. Um, if it's anything that I'd want to reiterate, just going on the business life brotherhood tact, don't be a chicken.
Don't be a chicken.
Don't
I
be a
dig it.
chicken. Yeah. Or my alternative one is you can't soar with the eagles if you're hanging out with the turkeys. But that I don't know what it is. You know what? I'm just gonna lean into the bird metaphors. Eric Roser, if you're listening to this, I hope you are laughing your butt off right now. But
That's fantastic.
yeah.
For anybody that's listening, watching at home, is there if they heard something or they have more questions about digital marketing or kind of any of the stuff that we touched on, or they think that you would be I never know. Like, are they going to reach out and be like, oh man, I need her on my team, or oh man, I need to pick her brain? Is there a good way for anybody to reach out and connect with you, or what's the
Uh,
best?
what's the best way? One of the 18 communication apps I have on my phone because it'll reach me. You're posting this. If you post this on Facebook, just tag me and people can come
Okay,
hunt me
perfect.
down. They might not see my face on Facebook, but I'm there.
it's you.
It's me.
Yeah. So Facebook is LinkedIn cool as well? Because I
Yeah,
can put that.
LinkedIn's cool. That is also another app I have on my phone. Smoke signal, can't guarantee I'll see it. Carrier pigeon, might get blown away, but you can try.
You can
Yeah.
try.
But no, my brain is open for the picking. That sounds really bad.
No, it's good. It's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I like my brain where it is between my
Yeah.
ears.
With all the birds going on too, we don't want to invite too many problems here.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I super appreciate you coming on. Like I said, for those folks listening, watching at home, we'll tag up, or I'll figure out how to tag Samantha Jo and do the LinkedIn and all the
Yeah.
bits, and so in pieces, so they can reach out to you. But yeah, that's thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. I really
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me on. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna close the button.